Hi, everybody, and welcome to this exciting episode of the Next Level Women podcast. I am so thrilled because I have two very special guests today, and they are successful business owners, and we're going to delve into all of the things they do, their expertise, as well as how they've been able to build success for themselves. Welcome to the show, Devin and Sam.
Hi, thanks for having
Thank
me.
you for thank you for having me.
Awesome. So I'm going to start with some introductions. I'll start with Sam. Tell us what you do. So introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
Yeah, as someone who grew up loving both art and science, it took me a while to find my sweet spot. But I like to say now that I'm a professional people watcher. So I have the privilege of studying people's behavior, what makes them buy, and helping other businesses to leverage that in their marketing, communications, and their business strategy.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. So first of all, how is it possible to love art and science at the same time? Because growing up, like they'll expose you to both and then you get to pick one. So it's so fascinating that you're someone that loves both. Also, I love your niche, like studying humans and kind of finding out what makes them buy. And I cannot wait for everyone to like learn from your expertise and experience because as business owners, like that's the ultimate goal, right? To get people to the point where they decide that they're ready to buy, not like pushy salespeople or anything like that. So I am so excited to delve into all of that. Thank you so much for being here, Sam. Over to you, Devin.
Hi, I'm Devin Brinkley. I am a freelance social media strategist and content creator, and I specialize in specifically working with the BIPOC community, LGBTQ plus, disabled, and neurodivergent entrepreneurs.
Incredible, incredible. So how did you land on that niche? Like, how did you choose that?
So I've been doing this for about 10 years, and all of those communities face additional barriers in not just life, but especially launching and sustaining businesses. So I wanted to use my expertise to help them and kind of give them a leg up in the business world, so to speak. Um, yeah, that's pretty much how I landed there.
Cool, cool, cool. Okay, so talk us through your entrepreneurship journey. I know you said you've been doing this for 10 years, and I'm scratching my head. I'm like, did you start when you were nine? How, how do you look this young and you've been in business for 10 years?
I will actually be 40 this year. But thank you. Thank you so much. Um, so I actually started as a side hustle when I was working in corporate America. I was working a corporate marketing and operations job, and this was just kind of a passion project, something that I was enjoying doing. My husband was starting a business. I was helping him and some of his friends with social. And somebody mentioned that, you're pretty good at this. You should start a real business. And I really wasn't that interested in doing it at the time. Long story short, both of my parents passed away suddenly in 2021. My job, which was actually in healthcare, only gave me 3 days off for each of my parents, which was crazy because they died within 32 days of each other. And I quit because they wouldn't give me the time that I needed off. And I walked away to focus on myself, my healing, and I was able to lean into my passion project to replace my six-figure income within my first year.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. At first, I'm so sorry for your loss. And isn't it incredible how the pain of them not giving you the time to grieve your parents has propelled you to create the success you have today. I can only imagine how proud your parents are of you right now. They are watching and I feel like they want to give you a hug. So congratulations on the success you've created for yourself.
Thank you, Joy. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Sam, I want to ask you, tell us about your entrepreneurship journey. How did you get to where you are today?
I will say it's similar to Devin's story in that it started as a side hustle while I was in corporate America. Some of my colleagues who knew that I did research and market research for Fortune 500 companies came to me with their own endeavors and said, "Hey, can you help me understand my audience and how I should position myself for success?" And it soon got to the point where I had so many small businesses coming to me that it was hard to manage with my 9 to 5. And I actually reached out to some of the larger players in this space and I said, "Hey, there's a growing need here. Do you service this population?" And a lot of them, for one reason or another, just couldn't support small businesses. And so I thought, well, this is an opportunity here. So I continued to service them. And then towards the end of 2024, I was in a role that was strictly focused on preparing for regulations that the Trump administration might be delivering. They did a pivot and they were no longer delivering those regulation changes. So my role was eliminated. And so from there, the side thing became the main thing. And kudos to Devin. Also, we have a similar story in that within the first year of business, I was able to replace my corporate salary, which I think is a testament to us shining stars within corporate America, really stepping into what we are naturally gifted in and finding success.
That's incredible. Now, people are listening to this episode and they're like, these are unicorn stories, right? They expect that people start their businesses and they hustle the first year to even hit 10K. And these are two women who hit over 100K or more in their first year of business. So I want you to speak to the people who are listening to this episode right now and they're like, how do I do this? Why is my business feeling so hard? What would you say to them? I'm going to start with Sam and then go to Devin.
Yeah, so I think a lot of it has to do with product market fit. So, what skills or offer do you have that can be supported by a growing market? So, it's one of the first things that I look at with my small businesses is what you are building aligned with a growing trajectory in the marketplace, a growing consumer base. So, I think that is one of the keys to success is picking your battle.
I love that. I love that you said it's picking a niche where there is a growing consumer base. So good. How about you, Devin?
To speak to Sam's point, that's definitely on track. My jump off was in 2022, so still very much in the pandemic years. So a lot of businesses did pivot to social media that either weren't really utilizing it a lot before or weren't utilizing it at all. I also want to say we didn't just start. Uh, we kind of had our freelance side hustle experience, so to speak. So we had experience. We had, clients we were working with already. So we did have some of that bandwidth for referrals and, contacts that we already had. And I definitely think that helps before, jumping in the deep end to kind of do some work and see what the market is, how they're reacting.
Cool, cool, cool.
Yeah,
I
that's
love that.
a,
Go
if
ahead.
I can jump in, that's a really good point is because I'm seeing a lot of people right now who may have left their corporate job for one reason or another and are considering starting their own businesses. But I think it's very important if you can to do both at the same time. So you build those proof cases, you build those your portfolio while you still have the security of a 9 to 5 before you step out onto your own.
I agree.
Yeah, yeah. You're so right because I have, well, at least two people I'm talking to right now who are like, I am done with corporate. I just want to quit my job. And I'm kind of telling them, just hang on a little bit because there is so much pressure when you quit your job and you don't have that regular, steady paycheck. You become desperate. And I have found that desperation actually repels clients. Okay. So thank you so much for mentioning that. I want to ask you, how do you create clients? Okay, I use that word create very intentionally. How do you get people from being strangers to paying you thousands of dollars to work with you? I'm going to start with Devin first.
I would say first and foremost, networking is very underrated, but that is how I got probably 80% of my clients in the beginning is online networking. Again, pandemic, so a lot of stuff was Zoom and just kind of meeting other people in the space, other people that were entrepreneurs and talking to them. I actually just got two leads yesterday from somebody that recommended me. She's never used my services, but we have networked and spoken multiple times. So I would definitely say connecting with other people has been huge for me. And the second is being myself. And I know that kind of sounds cliche, but people are doing business with people as opposed to brands in the small business world. So they want to connect with you, especially people that have left corporate America. Why would I want to, go back with somebody kind of in that unapproachable space when I could talk to someone like you or Sam that seem a lot more down to earth and relatable?
Wow, I am having goosebumps right now. And the reason I'm having goosebumps right now is because I just did a post on all my socials less than 2 hours ago. And on in that post, I was celebrating someone who I had met on a networking call, online networking. This must have been 3 months ago. And in a Facebook group with over 217,000 people, someone did a post in the group and asked for a business coach. And this human being publicly commented that she highly recommends me. So the reason I'm having goosebumps is because exactly what you just said about meeting people in networking sessions, building that relationships. Because I don't, even though I'm in that group, but I'm not active on Facebook, but she is active in that group and she mentioned me in that group. So I love what you said about 80% of your clients first came from networking, which is incredible. And yes, it is highly underrated. So I use a platform called Alignable. It's free. That's where I find networking events to go to where other business owners are. So thank you so much for highlighting that. Like you just made me smile so much.
Of course, of course.
Over to you, Sam.
Yeah, I think Devin is spot on when she says people buy from people. And I think that's true whether you are servicing, other customers or if you're serving other businesses, they need to have some level of know, like, and trust for who you are and what you have to offer. And so a lot of my clients for the first year came through my network, but then also I do some consulting for enterprise businesses still. And so I would go and connect with other recruiters and find out some of the postings that were available that maybe hadn't been publicized yet. So use your network in all sorts of ways to find business in that first year.
Cool, cool, cool. One of the things that women, well, I say women because that's the demographic I work with. One of the things I see women struggle with, women in business, is asking for money, owning that part of like charging a lot of money for the services they bring to the table. So I want you to tell us how you struggle with asking for money? If you did, how did you overcome that? And if you never struggled with asking for money, tell us how. Devin first.
Absolutely, I did. When I started, full disclosure, I probably was charging 10% of what I'm charging now. very much undervaluing myself. And it was just one, because, I felt like I was new to the space. And two, I really had no idea what people were charging for these services. Um, so, I had clients or potential clients or people that I was networking with telling me that I was undercharging drastically. And then I started to really dive in and do more research because surprisingly, a lot of people don't have their pricing on their website, which I prefer that transparency instead of, wasting your time on, calls with people that cannot afford your services, wasting their time and yours. So I did research and I gradually increased my prices. It did take, confidence boost. I did work with a business coach just to kind of restructure my packages and get that pricing to where it needed to be. But yes, I definitely had, I would say, confidence starting out. It wasn't there, but now my price is my price.
I
Yeah.
love that. My price is my price. That's the thing, right? When we start, and same thing for me as well, is that lack of confidence, right? And I feel like when we land our first couple of clients and we see the value we bring to the table, that actually boosts our confidence. Even when we talk about what we do and the transformation we offer, that confidence comes from actually doing the thing, right? So thank you so much for saying that, Devin. Over to you, Sam.
So this is one of my hot button items, and stop me if I go on a tangent. But I think women have what I call good girl syndrome. And we are taught from a young age that in order to be a good girl, we have to sacrifice ourselves, support those around us, and in a way, lessen our value to serve others, or our value is connected to how well we can serve others. And so, some of the aspects that make for a strong business leader are assertiveness, knowing your
Mm.
value. And those things get construed as bitchy when it comes from women. So I feel like a lot of this is rooted in wanting to be the good girl versus wanting to be a good business leader. But if you really step back, and I tell my clients this all the time, if you step back and look at other people in your space, especially men, they are not bringing half the value you're bringing, and they have no issue charging what they're charging. Come on, ladies.
Yes, no,
Come
you
on.
are spot on. You are spot on. Good girl, son. I like that. That makes a lot of sense. You nailed it.
Oh my gosh, like I'm just having fun over here because you're speaking my language, right? Yes, I love how you talked about the good girl part and then the business part, right? So there has to be a marriage somewhere, and it's possible to be a good girl and still be a badass business owner and
Mhm.
not apologize for the amount of money we make and not have to explain ourselves. So if I have an offer for 30K, that's my offer. I don't have to explain myself or try to justify to say, oh, you might not have the money to pay. Like those are not the people I'm trying to attract. I'm trying to attract people who can pay 30K for the value I offer. I'm not apologizing for that. Just like Rolls Royce wouldn't apologize. If you go to a Rolls Royce lot, they don't have to justify why one car is $500,000. Like I don't know how much their cars are, but they don't have to say, well, this is what they don't explain. Like they are Rolls Royce, right? So I love that so much. Okay, so I want to kind of go into your expertise and how you help people. Sam, tell us, how can we learn about biopsychology? How can we learn to exploit the way human psychology works when it comes to sales?
Yeah, so I would say just start by looking around you. Even in the grocery store, there's evidence of buyer psychology. For example, did you know that when you enter the grocery store, more times than not, you're going to walk to the right first?
Mm,
And so take a look at what they have to your right. It's usually, especially Target, they do a really good job of getting all those impulse buys immediately to your right when you enter the store, because that's where a lot of the traffic is going. And so just taking a look at what's presented to you, even color psychology, the things that you're immediately drawn to have red, like I put on red lips today. So all of those things are just around us. And so if you do a quick, even just use ChatGPT, what are the top 10 psychology tips that can help me market my business, and then start recognizing those in others people's communication and the packaging artwork that they use, and then you'll start to see the secret sauce that's really everywhere.
Wow, that's a good one. I'm gonna ask my chat GPT about biopsychology for my audience. Thank you so much. That's amazing. Devin, I want to kind of delve into your expertise of helping people grow on social media. Tell us, how can we grow on social media as business owners?
So a lot of people hear consistency, consistency, consistency. But with my business, I really focus on your consistency. Your bandwidth may look different than someone else's. I have multiple chronic illnesses. So my bandwidth, you're not going to see me posting every day or 5 times a day. And sometimes there's a week or two that I may not post just because life gets in the way. I have 2 kids, I have a husband, I have all the things. So your consistency may look different than someone else's. That may be 2 times a week. If that's what you can do, that's what you can manage. It's very much quality over quantity. As long as you're putting out good content, then the amount of content doesn't really matter. Secondly, authenticity is really a big core value of my business. Being authentic on social media goes a long way. There's so many people still on there that are being representatives of themselves, and people tend to just scroll right past that now. Like, you can't build trust if you are not being yourself on social media. So I am probably not your standard, business owner. I speak the way that I want to speak on socials. I will drop, a couple of F-bombs if I feel, riled up. I just am myself, and that naturally repels people that just aren't my people, and it attracts the people that are. So that has definitely helped me not just grow on social media, but convert people into actual clients.
I love that so much. Authenticity is so key, but like how, like, I don't know how to phrase it. For many, many years, many of us have been wearing masks, right? Wearing masks to be accepted or to adapt or to fit into someone else's box of the expectations of us. So, how do you help business owners get to the point where they can be authentic online?
So it definitely takes time. I was not me straight out of the box. I still very much had that corporate America mentality, and I was attracting that type of clientele, and I was miserable working with them. So slowly I began again confidence, and I feel
Mm.
like this speaks to Sam's good girl syndrome. I started to shed that mask because one, it's exhausting. I feel like it's exhausting being a representative instead of just letting your hair down and being yourself. And I just realized that I was attracting all the wrong people. I was like, why aren't I getting my people, my communities? And it's because they didn't want to work with someone that was, whitewashing their content, especially if they're a proud Black-owned business or a proud woman-owned business. And I was just, staying in this small box. But now I speak up about these marginalized communities. I speak up about social justice. I speak up about the barriers, the additional barriers that we face and the injustices. And that really connects with people in my community. And those are the people that I enjoy working with.
I love that so much. also love that you said something that uh, being authentic repels people. Because sometimes when we talk about attraction marketing, people forget that a magnet has two sides. There's the start side that attracts, and there's the side that repels. So I love that you own the fact that you repel people. Of course, you're not here to serve everybody, exactly like me. And so, me too. I always think, oh, I'm gonna be authentic, and then I'm gonna attract the people I want to serve, the people I'm here to serve, and then the people that I'm not meant to serve. Of course, they're gonna be repelled by me. They're not gonna love the way I speak. They're gonna love the way I look, all of those things. And that is absolutely fine. That's a good thing because as humans, I know a lot of women building businesses online, we are so afraid of rejection because we want to be accepted by everyone. So owning that part to say, yeah, I might not be your person, and that's fine. Go find your person. So thank you so much for saying that.
Of course.
Over to you, Sam.
Yeah, I also think there's something to be said about allowing yourself to suck at something first before you
Mm-hmm.
get better. So I think one of the unlocks in my business was not shying away from being awful at something for the first 100 times that I do it, and then starting to build my confidence because I've done it before, right? And I've seen the growth, and social media was definitely one of those areas for me. I'm naturally introverted. That's why I'm in an analytical space. It's because put me in front of an Excel sheet and I am happy. But turn the camera on and I need my fidget toys. Like, right? So, doing it anyway through the discomfort, knowing that the first 100, the first 200 are going to suck, but you will get better and you will see your progress. That is all part of the journey. And I think a lot of the things in my business, like learning how to sell market research services, learning how to talk about what I do so that everyone can understand, was a skill that I didn't have. And I still don't think I've perfected it. I still have those 3 a.m. brainstorming meetings of what if I said it this way versus that way. But just allowing myself to be really, really bad first, knowing that eventually it will show progress.
Wow, that really, really resonates with me. Like when I started this podcast, oh my gosh, I cannot even go back to listen to my first 50 episodes. Like, no, I will not listen because I was horrible. I couldn't speak two sentences together. But I told myself, I am willing to go through this process. I am willing to be horrible, exactly what you said. And I feel like if business owners can accept that, I feel like their business will grow faster to say, no, it's okay. I'm going to be terrible. In fact, I accept I'm horrible. But the more I show up and do it consistently, I'm going to get better. Thank you so much. Like golden nuggets, both of you are dropping on this episode today. So I want you to tell us who are the types of people you want to work with in this season of your business. I'm going to start with Sam first and go to Devin.
Yes. So in this season of my business, I am seeking marketing leaders, so CMOs or product marketing managers who have a business maybe 5 million or above, and they're really looking to transform that industry. So whether it's an emerging brand and they're starting something new, or they are reaching out to a new audience segment and they really need to understand, I've heard someone describe market research as looking around the corner before you leap. So they need research to help them understand where to place those bets and invest in their growth.
Wow. I love how you're so specific. Now, audience, you wonder why she's so successful? She's really
Because
specific.
I'm a data nerd. I've got my head nerd in charge plaque right
Oh, I
here.
love that.
I'm a data nerd. Yeah, through and through.
So good. Over to you, Devin.
The communities that I serve and want to serve are underestimated and underrepresented communities. So, like I said, marginalized founders, BIPOC, the queer community, neurodivergent, disabled. Just one, because I am either a part of or a strong ally with those communities. And I think during research and as I have been growing my business, the fact that I have cultural competence with those communities goes a long way. People are tired of working with people that don't understand them, don't understand their culture, because it's definitely harder in marketing to understand someone's brand voice if you don't understand their culture. So I definitely feel like that has gone a long way, and people appreciate that they can come to someone with their business, which is their baby in most
Mm,
cases. And somebody can understand not just what they're trying to do there, but them as a person.
wow, so, so
Can I
profound.
can I build on that? I
Yeah.
think there's something like just to hype you up a bit, Devin, is because so many times we see these large brands wanting to step into the cultural space and they get it wrong. And my reason or my thinking about that is because they don't have a member of that community in the room. They don't have a member of that community represented in the research. They don't know what that voice sounds like, what it doesn't sound like. And so I think there really is a not just honing in on the business tone of voice, but there is a financial upside to making sure that a member of that community is present before that communication, that marketing touch point goes out the door.
100%. Thank you for adding that.
Yes. Yeah, so good, so good, and so true. Like even in the news, you watch all this. Like I follow the BBC, and I get my news there. Many of these big companies get it wrong with their ads, and then they start to apologize, right? And then you could see that whoever in the boardroom approved that ad didn't have a representation of the community, So what you just said is so spot on. Thank you so much. I want you to tell the audience where they can go to connect with you and take the next step with you. I'll start with Devin and then Sam.
Absolutely. I am pretty active on Threads and Instagram. My handle on both is Creative Gravity LLC, and my website is creativegravity.llc.com.
So good, so good. I'm gonna grab all of those links. It will be in the show notes if you are listening on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And if you are watching us on YouTube, those links will be in the description. Over to you, Sam.
Yeah, so the best way to get in contact with me is to go to guidancegrovenc.com, and I have a little bit of resources there. So one of my specialties is how to make your marketing work harder for you. So anyone who's facing pressure to deliver results with less resources than you had previously, I think that's everybody in 2026 now. I've got a few resources there specifically for you.
Cool, cool, cool. Yes, it's almost. I feel like almost every team in corporate America are now being told to do more with less. So yeah, so true. Okay, I'm gonna ask two questions before we close. I want you to tell us how you are adapting in the world of AI. Like, tell us how your business has changed with AI. Like, do you see opportunities or do you see threats? I'm going to start with Sam and then we'll go to Debbie.
Oh, I didn't want you to start with me. That's okay. I see both opportunities and threats to do the safe answer. So let me elaborate. I am fascinated by what AI is capable of, especially from a data analysis standpoint and helping us to do the things that we do faster. The threat becomes when we use AI to replace human intelligence. And so I've seen a lot of businesses do layoffs and then turn around and have to hire people back because they thought the AI could deliver here and it's just not capable of replacing humans at this point. And so that's where I see it both as an opportunity to help us do what we do faster, but then a threat because it's not really going to replace humans anytime soon.
Love, love, love. How about you, David?
I'm sick of AI. I'm not even gonna hold you. Um, I agree with Sam. It's definitely an opportunity and a threat. Because I'm transparent, I actually lost a client at the end of last year because they wanted to rely on AI instead of continuing to pay me. And there's no negativity. I actually want my clients to grow and move on. But in this case, their socials look horrible because they're not just using it for their copy, but they're also using it for all of their imagery. And that just goes back to people not being able to connect with you or your brand because all of this is manufactured. And people see that. So I think it needs to be used sparingly, and it should be used as a tool, not to create everything. So I may use AI for systems and automation, but I will not use it to like create copy or make images or anything like that because again, that goes against authenticity. A machine is writing it. And even though you can train your AI to talk like you, it's still never
Mm,
exactly right. And you have to go back and edit it a lot. So if you do use it, at least edit the output. You can use it to ideate, that's fine, to generate ideas. Sometimes I may have a thought in my idea that I can't necessarily articulate. And I can put my brain dump in AI and it's like, this is what you're trying to say. I'm like, exactly. But I'm not going to use it to like write a blog post or anything like that. What I may do is write the blog post myself and then put it in and say, how can I optimize this for SEO? So again, I'm using it as a tool, but not to write my marketing.
so good, so good. Yeah, I love that so much. So I use AI very heavily, even for my imagery, and I can see the difference between when I was like my full self and the difference AI has made. And in my experience, I am finding that the more ubiquitous AI becomes, the more humans are going to crave human connection. So that's what I am finding, especially in my business, in my community, because I have a community. People want that human connection. And I think as businesses, we need to like identify that opportunity because it's going to be huge as we go forward. So thank you both so much. The last question I have is for you to think back to your 21-year-old self. If you could talk to your 21-year-old self, what would you have to tell her? I'm going to start with Devin first and then Sam.
Um, I guess for one that you're probably not going to do what you think you're going to do. I actually wanted to be a veterinarian, and I actually started school to be a veterinarian, but very quickly realized that was not going to be for me. I love animals, but the bad side of vet medicine I just couldn't handle. And to keep an open mind, like my profession pivoted many times until I landed where I was happy. Um, and I feel like a lot of older generations work to pay their bills. But I would tell my 21-year-old self, you deserve to be happy when you're making money
Mm,
as well.
wow. Oh my gosh. You deserve to be happy when you're making money. Yeah, that's a tough one because naturally we do not associate both things. Making money should be hard, right? But now having to think, oh, making money can be fun and easy. So, like, it's such a cognitive dissonance. But that's where we need to get to see that, yeah, making money can be fun. So, thank you so much for saying that. Over to you, Sam.
Oh, when you asked that question, my 21-year-old self was a wild child, so I had
That's why
to
I started
think.
laughing.
I had to think for a minute. I would tell her, one, take a break, breathe, slow your roll for a little bit. Um, And then I would tell her that there are three relationships that you need to have to help you walk this out. Because it's something that I've just come to realize. You need someone that's gone before you that can mentor you. You need someone to come alongside you for the ups and the downs, a ride or die. And then you need someone that you can mentor and you can bring along with their journey. And I think having those three relationships through the ups and downs in life, the twists and turns, will really set her on the right path, on the right path.
Mm, wow. So deep and profound. Thank you both so much. It's been truly a joy having you on the show today. I am I cannot wait for the audience to listen to this episode because so many gems that both of you have shared today. Any last words before we go?
Um, one thing that I do want to add is that it definitely has not all been butterflies and rainbows, and I think that's another thing that I do speak up about and share openly. Just like Q4 last year was really slow for me, and it typically isn't. Definitely because the economy sucks, but that's a whole nother tangent. But it definitely has been very hard work. And I continue learning. There's never a point where I feel like I'm an expert and I'm above learning. I'm above taking a course. I'm above mentorship, like Sam said. That has been huge. You should, as a business owner, you should always be learning.
Yes, yes. I feel like the hardship is necessary to evolve us. I feel like the, oh gosh, we need to do another episode on the hardship of entrepreneurship. The hardship is necessary. And so thank you so much for pointing that out because like we all look very happy and excited on this show, this episode, and people might misconstrue that to say, oh, I'm supposed to be happy all the time. No, there are days when I do not want to get out of bed. I just grab chocolate in the morning with cakes and just lay down in bed. Right? So, but exactly what both of you said, because I am in masterminds, I get a text message from people like, "Where are you? We didn't see you on the call today." And I go, I watch the replay, and then I'm energized again to come back into the community. So, and I wouldn't trade the hardship for anything. The hardship has made me who I am today, and is evolving me, and it continues to be hard. And we can do hard things. I'm not going to shy away from hard things. So thank you so much for saying that. I am so happy. Sam, do you want to say anything else before we go?
I feel like you were in my kitchen this morning. I sure did grab myself a handful of chocolate and then I had two slices of pound cake. Not one, I had two.
That sounds amazing.
It's so amazing how even my clients, when I tell them I still struggle, they cannot reconcile that you can still make a ton of money in your business, but you still struggle sometimes. So normalizing this conversation is like the best thing. And this is what I wish I had when I started. And this is why I'm creating this space where people can come listen to successful women who are building successful businesses and to see that their journey is validated. And that if they just keep showing up, if they just keep doing the work, they're going to create success. Thank you both so much. I feel so blessed just having this conversation today. God bless you both.
Oh, thank you, Joy, so
You
much
as well.
for having me.